Hi. So I was thinking about doing a video about burnout. So I've been dealing with a lot of clients recently who are experiencing burnout. And when a client comes to me and I'm at work and I'm supporting them, it's quite interesting because a lot of people will say, I've got this and I've got that, and I've got somebody who's ill and I'm experiencing bullying at work, and I'm juggling three children and a full time job and a family. And it's really quite interesting how people don't recognise their level of burnout. People say, I'm juggling all these things. And then when you point out to the person, well, one of these things would be really difficult to deal with. Never mind the fact that you've got three or four things to deal with. You're juggling children, family, full time job, all of that, and all the responsibility of that. And it's quite interesting how people don't actually understand or see the fact that they're burnt out. And I think with being a counsellor, I've done a lot of work on myself, but I also help others a lot. And it's really interesting to see how people focus on just getting through, putting their head down, pushing through, working through, getting through. And actually, it can be helpful in some circumstances when things are difficult. But what happens is you push and push and push through. You don't listen to your body. You don't listen to your mind. You don't listen to the part of your psychology that's telling you, do you know what? This is too much. We're overloaded here. We're burning out and it's really difficult to deal with. And I think it's really easy for people just not to recognise that, or they recognise it but they just don't know how to deal with it. So I help a lot of people who are going through difficult situations. And what I really like to do is try and break it down for them. So look at each issue at a time. So say there's some bullying at work, you look at how can you handle that? What can and can't you control? And I think a lot of people just think because they can't control it themselves, or they don't know how to change it, it's unmanageable. So say you're having issues at work, you would need to be looking at, right, could I talk to my manager? Could I talk to my HR department? Can I explain to someone that I'm being bullied or I'm being treated in a way that's unfair? And that's something that you can then tackle. So you might not be able to handle it all yourself, but you can actually delegate it to someone and ask someone for help. And it's the same with things at home. So quite often people get overwhelmed. They'll say, oh, I'm juggling three children and a full-time job and family life, and I've got all this burden of responsibility. And it's about talking to your partner and looking at, right, who can take up the slack here, who can take over or help with situations. And I think sometimes it's about recognizing yourself what you can and can't cope with. I think I have two kids and I work 30 hours a week, and I do all their extra activities with them because my husband works 6 days a week, which is understandable. So I take a lot of that load on. But sometimes I remember watching something once and it was talking about being overstimulated, and that's not how I saw myself. But there are certain times of the day or certain times of the week, really, where I get to a point where I just need a wee break. I need to watch something silly or watch something on Netflix that will make me laugh or that's really interesting. And I realised that that's what it is. I'm getting overstimulated. There's too many things to do. There's too many things in my head to keep up on. I've got two children talking to me at the same time, wanting me to answer them at the same time, which is usually what my boys do. And it's like, mummy, 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 mummy. And I'm like, look, I can only answer one person at a time. And I've realised that that's what happens. I get overstimulated. And it's something that I never really thought of that everybody can get overstimulated in certain ways. But once I recognised that I was getting overstimulated and I needed a little bit of a break, it was so much easier to handle because I thought, well, that's fine. That's okay. I've got all this load and on me and all these things that I'm thinking about. And it's not just the kind of physical load, if you like, or the doing stuff. It's the mental load as well. So like today we are at the speed skating. I know that tonight I have to get home, I have to get them showered, everything ready for tomorrow. They're off tomorrow actually because it's a September weekend, but I'm working. So I have to get everything ready for tomorrow. I know that they've got football club tomorrow. They've got a football academy thing tomorrow all day that my husband's taking them to. And then Tuesday they've got a dentist appointment, but luckily their nanny's taking them to that. And then I'm going to be working all week. And then there's lots of stuff coming up. my oldest will probably be playing football for school next Saturday. Then there's swimming, then there's speed skating, then there's all different things coming up. We've got the October week off, so we're going to go away for a couple of days, so I need to think about preparing for that. And there's lots of different things going on. I have to, like I did the shopping yesterday, but I know that I have to plan meals for the rest of the week. And there's a lot. And it's that burnout and overwhelm. And for me, I call it being overstimulated. But sometimes I forget that that's what's going on. And I think, oh my goodness, I'm being snappy, or I'm getting a bit grumpy. And actually, it's about recognising where you are and thinking, right, what can I do about this? So for me on a Sunday night, once everything's done, I always say to the kids, let's get everything done. And they're like, oh, can we rest? Can we have a break? And I'm like, but if we get everything done, then that means the next 2 to 3 hours before we go to bed and start the day again tomorrow, it's done, and we can do whatever we like in that time. So we can watch a film, we can have a laugh, I can watch something, they can do something else, they can be on their phones playing some games. And it's about making sure that you're having that downtime as well, because burning out is really difficult. I work with a lot of clients who are burnt out, and I think once you talk to someone who's burnt out and you take a step back for them and explain to them, right, this is what's going on, let's tackle what we need to. So what needs to be done on your to-do list? I found this really helped me a few years ago. I was working with a life coach, and she was explaining, if you've got a to-do list of say like 10 things, you look at what's the most important. So if we've not got clean school uniforms for the next week, we need to do a washing. If we've no milk in, we need to go and get some milk. If you need to hoover and you think, right, I really need to hoover, do you need to hoover right now, or can you hoover at the weekend? I want a shelf up in the living room. Do you need to put the shelf up right now, or can you put that as less priority? And I think that's the thing. It's about prioritising and making sure that you're looking at all the aspects that are going on and what really needs done. And that's really helped me a lot, because it means that I'm thinking about what's the most important things, what's the priority, what is really urgent, and what things can wait. And it's been really, really helpful. Honestly, it's one of I always go back to that. I always remember it for myself, but also can tell clients about that as well, about prioritising what's the most important. And obviously there's also a priority on prioritising your peace as well. So giving yourself a break, giving yourself time to relax, giving yourself time to have some headspace away from the mental load that's going on. Because I think we have a massive mental load in life with work, kids, activities, appointments. And I'm not just saying women have this mental load, I think men do as well. But I think for me, what I've learned over the years is that a mother and a working mother has more of a mental load. And some people may disagree with me on that, but I think we do. And for me, I do have a lot of that mental load. My husband works, and he works really hard. He works 6 days a week. But his priority when he comes home is saying hi, seeing everybody's okay, having a shower, making his dinner, and then he gets ready for the next day. I'll be thinking about getting the boys ready for the next day. I'll be thinking about activities that are coming up. As I say, football, swimming, skating, because he's working. So I pick up all those activities, and I actually don't mind doing that. I love watching my boys doing the sport. I love watching them learn new things and be able to express themselves, and I love it. But that's my load, and I have that in my head all the time. So on a Sunday night, just giving myself permission to watch something funny, chill out, and just really be and just have that energy is really, really important, because it refreshes me for the rest of the week, for the next week coming. And it refreshes me and makes me feel like I can handle the next week. And it's really important to make sure you're taking care of yourself as much as you can. And I know I've done videos on this in the past and different videos, but I think it's about recognising the mental load, recognising what you need to do for yourself to not burn out. And as I say, it's about looking at what you can and can't control. So if there's something you can control, you do something about it. If there's something you can't control yourself, but you can ask somebody for help with, you ask for help. If there's something that you can't control, then you need to look at, how do I let this go? How do I focus on the stuff I can control and not put all my energy into the stuff I can't. Because if you are putting loads of mental energy into the stuff that you can't control, it's actually not going to be helpful for you, and it actually builds a resentment inside of you, because what you're doing is you're wanting to control the uncontrollable. And I think that's really that's the black and white of it. If you want to control the uncontrollable, you put so much energy into trying to control it, even though if you sat down and thought about it, you don't have control. So you're wasting your energy. Your energy would be better redirected into the stuff that you can control and the stuff you can do something about. And self-care, you can do something about. I spoke to a client this week and she was like, I don't have time. I've got kids and I've got work and I've got this and I've got that. And I said to her, could you take 10 minutes out of your day to sit, even with a cup of tea and a biscuit, or just sit and breathe? And she was like, yeah, I could probably do 10 minutes. And I said, well, if you think about it, 10 minutes a day soon adds up. That's an hour and 10 minutes a week. And she was like, yeah, I didn't think about it like that. And that's what I love about being a counsellor. I can show people a perspective that they can't see because they're in the midst of it and they're burning out and they're overloaded. And I can show them that perspective. I can't always do it for myself. I do try, and I do try to take a step back when I'm at the point where I'm overloaded. But it's really, really important, and I love that I can do that for people and really help them see where they are, and that actually there's something they can do about it, because it's about taking action. And I love being able to do that for people. So if you've struggled with things like this, just take a step back, look at what you can and can't control, and put your focus and your energy on what you can control. And self-care, even if you are busy, self-care is something you can always control, even if it's 5 or 10 minutes a day. So have a go, see how it works out for you, and any tips that you've got, please put in the comments. Take care.